Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we're live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about feelings, coping with feelings. And the feeling that I've had this week has been one of chaos. I don't know about you. Hi there, Jeannie, and Jeannie's busy letting us know that there's a beautiful autumn day in Maine. Are we into autumn already? um, it Wow, it went from about the 50s, well, I guess 50 degrees, that's pretty cool, isn't it? To 75 degrees, and this weekend it's supposed to be great. Yeah, you know something? We've got, I think, a high of 24. What is that in American? We've got a high of about 77 coming today, I think. So that, you know, it's also cooled down quite a bit. And I must admit, it's been quite interesting to have a few days without the air conditioner kicking in. So that's good. All right. So now then, before we get on to the subject, I just wanted to acknowledge some birthdays. For those of you who missed them, it was Beth's birthday on the 26th. It was mine on the 30th. It was Katie's in Texas on the 31st. And what we've got coming up is on the 6th, we celebrate Kimmy's eye operation that she had. And Jeannie, your birthday, I think, on the 8th, if I got that correct. So if we've missed your birthday and you are a regular viewer, either you listen to it later, you watch it on the replay, whatever, you don't necessarily have to be in the chat. But if you're a regular, please let us know if we've missed a birthday so that we can get you on our mailing list or on our, what do you call it, database. I'm talking today a bit about chaos because that's what my life has been this week in so many different ways. And before I start onto that, was thinking about the absolute chaos there must have been in Maui, with that fire going through. And I don't know about you, but it struck me as really weird. How come so many people died? How come they didn't get that place evacuated in a heartbeat? And then I read somewhere this week that that fire was traveling a mile a minute. Think about that. Think about a fire being 5 miles away from you and you get told to evacuate. You probably think you've got more than 5 minutes to get out of Dodge, but those people didn't, all right? And they probably didn't realize the speed at which that fire was traveling. So that to me made a lot more sense as to why so many people got caught in it. However sad that might be for me, but it just made more sense somehow. I kept thinking, how come they didn't get more people out? It's just like they knew there was a fire. Um, Anyway, so that's what I found out this week. How about this one? I will bring order from chaos and light from darkness. And to me, I think that's a really important thing to remember. That's what we do. We will bring order to chaos. It's a really strange thing. It was said originally by William Makepeace Thackeray, but it's about that's what we do. When our life is in chaos, we work really hard to bring it back into order. Does that make sense to everybody? It's sort of like a natural thing that we do. And so if you've ever redecorated a room or, anything like that, you will know that in order to get a room redecorated, the first thing you hit is chaos. Why? You've got to move everything out. That means the rest of your house is in chaos. And then you've got to do all the work that's required in the room what you want to redecorate. And then last of all, you get to put everything back. But the good news is you normally put things back in a better way than they were when you took them out. And so what I want you to see is that there is always this um, joy in chaos because you normally end up with better. When I say better, you normally end up with more structure. And it's said that chaos is a total lack of organization or order. And some of us don't do well with that. Some of us don't do well with that at all. Um, Robert Garrett said that chaos and order are not enemies. They're only opposites. Combined, they equal balance. Does that make sense? That our whole life, if you think about it, goes from being chaotic to then being a little bit balanced, and then it gets chaotic again, and then we get it back in balance. And so if you can see that chaos is not a bad thing, it's just part of your life. And I couldn't help but think as I looked at my week that I'd created my own chaos. For example, if I just kept the shed locked and wasn't busy trying to downsize it, get it everything out. I don't know if any of you, some of you will remember this, but for those of you who don't know, I moved in here a couple of years ago, and my shed was so full, and I've got a big shed, was so full that you had to actually turn sideways and breathe in really well, and sort of shuffle your way down. Can you imagine that? How full that was? And what I want to show you, if I can, is where we're at today. And I would not have been able to achieve this without the help of Ciora, but she's done a wonderful job. But if you look, this is like if you look into my shed today, you see how much floor space you can see. And I'm not joking that when we started, this side, you can see there are a couple of boxes there. There were 2 rows of boxes there before, and a whole row of boxes all the way down this side, which we got rid of. And look at that. You can even see space on the shelves as we're working through it. Isn't that amazing? But can you imagine how much work it has been? Because those boxes are full of crud. And when I say full of crud, I mean full of crud. It was just like they were the things that were in my garage, and it was the last minute things in my garage that ended up in those boxes. And it was just like, we don't have time to sort it, just pack it, and I'll sort it out the other end. And so this chaos has been very difficult for me, because you're not sure what's in there, and everything you need to double check in case there's something of value in there. So, and not only that, in order to get it sorted, Ciora is wonderful. What she does is she pre-sorts a lot of it. She opens up those boxes and has a look, and then sort of tries to get some sort of order. And then she'll bring me a box of the stuff that she cannot put into any order. She's not quite sure what it is, or she doesn't see any logic to it, or whatever. And then she brings me those boxes, and those are the boxes that I go through, and I decide, this is garbage, this is going to Goodwill, this is going back in the house. And what absolutely stuns me, we've been at this for a month now, over a month. And I'm not joking, I probably am saving so far about 1 banker box of stuff. It's either gone back in and been properly organized, or else it's gone to Goodwill, or it's gone to the garbage. And it's amazing to me what a job we have done. And I couldn't have done it without her. And each week, I'm not joking, each week she takes out of my property, she takes a truckload of crud away. And that is the secret. I don't get to see it again. All right. This is called, that's going, and it's going today. It's not like, well, let me think about that for the week. No, it's like, if that's in that pile, it's gone. And I thought that, like last week, last couple of weeks, it's been bags and bags of wool. Apparently I collected wool as a part-time hobby. And this week, and some of you will relate to this, my chaos that I freed myself of was boxes upon boxes of material. I think I had collected material for a lifetime. Every time I went to the shop to get something, I saw something on sale, some material on sale. So I thought, I better get that, because one day, one day, well, guess what? That day never came. And I know I'm not going to do it now because I don't have the back to sew. Therefore, it's gone to Goodwill, and the hope that somebody will find value in it. But then think about this, all the stuff that has been in the shed. I didn't realize this, but all the stuff that was in the shed also got smoke on it. And it was something that I didn't think of at the time of the fire, when I had the fire, um, because all that stuff should have gone and been gone through that system where they get the smoke out of it. But, I didn't think of it. I didn't think about how much smoke would actually have permeated into my shed. And so, therefore, I'm noticing that as we open up these boxes, I've got things that smell of smoke. I've got things that smell of being in boxes for way too long. You all know that smell. And so, what I'm doing is, as each week goes by, the stuff that I think I'm going to bring back into the house or it's going to get organized in some other way, I'm actually leaving it on the deck for a week to air. Does that make sense? Yeah, that musty smell, Charlotte, is horrible. So, but it's also a smoke smell now. So what I'm doing at the moment is everything gets left on the deck for a week, so that the air can get to it, so that we can, so it can just have a chance. And then, depending if it's, made it through or not, um, the I'm then putting it into plastic bags with dryer sheets in it, or a little bit of essential oil or something, so that we can just get it smelling good. I want to tell you, there was one blankie that came out of that shed. I washed it 4 times before I thought it was good enough to go to Goodwill. Think about that. I know what you're saying. Why didn't you just send it to Goodwill as it was? Well, you know something? I did not like the smell on that blankie. So it was going to get washed. And it literally took me 4 washes to get it right. So my deck is pretty messed up. And I'm okay with it. And I'm not okay with it, but I am. And John le Carre, the author, said, "I am still making order out of chaos by reinvention." Would you agree with that? In order to make order out of chaos, we have to reinvent what we're doing. All right? Because obviously what we were doing wasn't working before. And I thought that was a really good thing to think about, that it's time to reinvent your space, or it's time to reinvent how you store things. And I've been really interested in, that process, quite honestly. It's been really interesting to me. And how about that? We adore chaos because we love to produce order. Would you agree with that? The reason we tolerate chaos is because we know at the end of it there will be order. So I'm having a problem because I'm missing a whole stack of stuff here from my notes. I don't know what happened here. Hang on a second. Let me get out of this and go back in again. Maybe that will help. So the thing that I wanted to remind you all of is that we don't have to stay in chaos the whole time. All right, that is a choice, how long we stay there. And so I, for example, have got a situation where I've got Yvonne and Wade coming over tomorrow. All right, so what I realized was I don't have to tidy everything up and sort it all. All I need to do is tidy it enough so it doesn't look like absolute chaos. It looks like organized chaos. And that to me is a difference, all right? So I've been busy packing things into boxes. So at least I've got, boxes, piles of boxes. And I've also got piles of empty boxes, because I know when I actually sort those boxes out, I will need empty boxes to, to create order. So a lot of the boxes that I've got are actually empty. And it's like Well, why don't you put them somewhere else? Because I need them. That's why. And if I put them in the shed, guess what? I'm just creating more trouble in the shed. And I did say to Siora yesterday, I said, you're going to end up hating me just a little bit. And she said, why? And I said, because any minute now, I'm going to tell you, take these boxes to the shed. I don't want them in the house. And she said, that's perfectly okay. And I said, I feel terrible because you've worked so hard to create space in the shed. But more of these boxes will need to go to the shed. And what I realize now is I may need to do this downsizing of the shed every year, right? Until I've got rid of everything that I need to get rid of. So um, the other thing I got rid of, and I don't know if any of you relate to this, I got rid of a huge bag. It was in a number of boxes of size 14 clothes. Are any of you laughing? Size 14. Did I honestly think I was going to go back to that size? But I hang on to those clothes for the longest time. And I cannot tell you how long it's been since I was a size 14. And I went, really? And I know why I held on to them. There were some pretty good clothes in that box, because they were the days when I was, working and traveling a lot and, so forth. And it was just like, yeah, but Sal, you are not going back there. So time for them to go. And I didn't even sort through them. I just said, let them go. Let them, somebody else have joy from them, because I'm not the one. And the other thing is that the thing that I've been doing is emptying out my studio, which has been my storeroom for the last 2 years. I've been emptying it out, and I still have about 5 boxes in there that have to come out this week. But other than that, I have cleared everything out of the studio, and now I'm putting my soaps back in there. All right, so all my soap making stuff is now in there and getting organized, and my packaging for it and so forth. But boy, what a job. And it takes forever, so I've just got to have a lot of patience, and that's not something I'm known for, but that's what I need. So when I say to you, have any of you got size something or other clothes stuck away in case you get back to that size? And, because if you have, you will relate to what I did. But my word to you is this. By the time you are that size again, the styles will have changed, so you might as well just get rid of them. For those of you holding on to material, for those of you holding on to wool, whatever. Jody said, I've got everything from size 14 to 28. And Jody got sick and then got lymphoderma, and lymphoderma made her body blow up. And that's why she's got all the way to size 28. And now you're what size now, Jody? She had one of those gastric sleeves put in, and they gave her a new little stomach. She's down to a 16. Okay, isn't that amazing? So, and you think about all the joy your clothes would give somebody else, especially now as we go into winter. Every time I do a bag of clothes, I also go to my closet where I keep my winter coats and things, and I go, okay, which one am I getting rid of this year? And I just got rid of another one. So now all those boxes are sitting in my bedroom. How many of you going, no, not your bedroom? And I'm going, yes, my bedroom. And the reason is because my bedroom is the one room where I hate to have chaos. Right? I hate to have chaos. I don't know about you. It's basically an empty room with a bed in it. It doesn't have very much in it. So to have all those boxes in my bedroom is my motivation, because I know I will want to get rid of them. Now, the next thing that I've got is boxes full of artwork and boxes full of paint and boxes full of, that's what's left. And so now I've got to decide whether I want to hold on to all that stuff. Do I think I will go back to painting? Probably not, actually. But I could be wrong. But maybe it needs to go in the shed for a year for me to prove that to myself. Makes sense. I don't have to get rid of it. But then my question was, if I put it into the shed for a year, will it be, something I will be able to use again? And the answer is probably not. So I might as well get rid of it. And on the good side is when I've got rid of all those boxes in my bedroom and a few that I've got in my craft room, you understand I will be able to say that I'm unpacked. Now, we know that I sort of got half unpacked and then I had the fire. And so we packed everything up again and took it out of the house. And then I came back and we started to unpack a second time. But I will say that if I can just get those boxes put away one way or another, I can honestly say that I am unpacked. And that's very exciting. I like this quote. It came from Harry Adams, and it said, "Chaos often breeds life when order breeds habit." And some of you will know that sometimes we create the habit of chaos being okay, when really it isn't, all right? How many of you know that? If your bed is chaotic for long enough, you just ignore it. And it's just like, I don't see it anymore. And yet you do, subconsciously, you do still see it. And so that's why I'm working really hard to try and spend the time that it takes. And that's what it takes. It takes time and effort to get through these things. So to create order, though, it is necessary to create chaos. As I said, if you've ever renovated a room, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Jody's saying, that makes me happy to know that it'll be a blessing to somebody else. When you donate stuff, don't think about your loss, think about somebody else's gain. And I keep saying to Siora, do I throw this in the garbage? And she goes, no, donate that. And I go, you sure? And she said, somebody will love that. Okay. And so, although I hate putting boxes in my bedroom, does it make sense to you why I've done that? It's the one place I know I don't want those boxes. And so I know that I will work more, it'll be better motivation for me. Yeah, Jody's saying I have beautiful pants with the tag still on from Land's End. And we all know how much we love those clothes. I want to tell you, I don't think I have ever regretted buying clothes from Land's End. I recently got rid of a raincoat that I'd had 20 years at least. I still have cord pants that I bought from Land's End. They just make such good clothes. So I'm not getting paid by them. But what I used to do is wait until they had a sale and then I'd buy stuff. And every year, I would buy stuff from them on their sales because it was well worth it. You could get really good pants with French seams and goodness knows what else for like $10 when they were on having sales. I remember also in my past hearing the expression that you have to break eggs in order to create omelets. And that's something I think we all need to think about, is that we have to create that chaos to be able to create uh, the lack of chaos. And so if you have got chaos around you and you are systematically working on it, then you are on your way to getting back to order. But if you have chaos around you and you are not doing anything about it, then you are basically probably living like a hoarder. And, like me, in the shed, breathe in and try and just make your way. I'm not joking. There were boxes up to here and boxes up to here. The only way you could get through the shed was sideways. So to walk in there now and be able to not have to turn and actually, you can actually, it's just amazing. Again, that shed is huge suddenly. The only order in the universe is just a cycle of calm and chaos. And I thought that's so true. And then, of course, I got Yvonne and Wade coming tomorrow because it's time. Yvonne comes once a month to do the measurements on my arms to make sure I'm not getting lymphedema. Now, I am capable of doing it, but we love the fact that she comes every month to do that job. And Wade's coming with her. So I said to them, yeah, you have choices. You can have a roast, and you can have this, or you can have mac and cheese. Mac and cheese. It's really funny. So I've also bought some turkey that I've cooked, and I'll do, a, a cheese board sort of thing as well with some cold meats on it. But basically, they just come for the mac and cheese. So, okay, fine, I can do that. Now, probably wondering what did I do for my birthday? Well, some of you are really going to laugh about this. I realized that my birthday was the one day I didn't have anything planned at all, because it's my birthday. And that's, you're inclined to do that, is to keep that free. And so I decided I would spend the day working on the website and putting more products up and so forth. And boy, I really did spend the whole day doing that. It's amazing how much work that was. Mm. But in doing that, I learned a lot, and that is a gift of itself. Now, you know that whenever I'm in chaos, I will be creative to try and get balance back. It's like, being creative is pretty chaotic anyway, but it gets balance back. So last night I was making soap, and I managed to make a soap like this. Okay. And that is about the closest I've got so far to this sort of art that I do. And then I realized that that was what the top of it was like, but the real thing was on the other side. And I had to wait some hours before I could take it out of the mold. And look what was on the other side. Isn't that beautiful? So yes, I am beginning to be able to do my art on soap. So this one was the back side of it. Now it looks like sky, right? But you turn it over and you have a completely different look. Can you see these are like almost an egg shape? And when I cut the bottom off this to level it, all right, it ended up losing a lot of its definition. But you turn it over. Look at that. Looks like a brain. And this one again, like this, but when I turned it over, isn't it amazing? So I love them. So then I'm wondering now, what am I going to call this series? And Lauren in Tasmania happened to be awake because she's in Tasmania, and I said, well, what are we going to call these, Lauren? And she said, well, they look like pebbles. All right. Yeah, great shape. They look like pebbles. And I said, I think we need a better name than Pebbles, the Pebble series. Right. So I said, can you think a bit deeper than that, please? And then she said, what about the Galaxy series? And I'm going, I like that. I think that's a good name for it. So these, and they're peppermint, just so you know, that's the fragrance. So this is now the first of the Galaxy series. And I love the shape. Yeah, Jeannie likes the shape too. I love the shape. So, and the question is, how did I do it? All right. And this was the chaos of it, because I kept thinking that the problem I have is that when I go to put the soap in it, it sets up so quickly that you don't get a chance to play with it. And then I thought, no, wait a minute. There was one soap that didn't set up quickly, and that was the aloe vera. So what I did was I took aloe vera and I colored it, the blue. All right. And then I put that in the bottom, knowing that it would take longer to set up. And then I waited until it had set up just a little bit so that I knew that, it would have a little bit of setting up around the edges there. And then I started to pour in a little bit of the white and move it in. And then I left that basically to set up quite a bit more before I poured the rest of the white in. And that's how I ended up with that. Now, some of the blue ended up seeping through, as you can see, but I didn't mind that at all. I just think that's a very unusual, unique soap. And so I was really happy with it. So, but you understand, it was like, what are we going to call it? And I go, Peppermint Sky and Sea Surf, you know. And then it was funny because once I turned it over, it was just a completely different feel to it. And that's when I went, okay, Lauren, you need to help me. So the good news is these are now Lauren's, and that's what they'll be called, Lauren's Galaxy series, because Galaxy is a great name for them. As you can probably hear, a lot of allergies happening for me at the moment. You know, Albert Einstein said, order is for idiots. Geniuses can handle chaos. How many of you really need to hear that? um, yeah, I always admire people that have a place for everything and everything in its place. I really do. I admire people that live like that. I'm not that person, but I admire people. But I have noticed that when it comes to, Wednesday evening, I know how I need to get the kitchen put together ready for the broadcast. And what I noticed was one of the things I realized when I was doing the soap making was it's really nice to do all the soap making on my freezer, but it's also very inconvenient because I can't get to the freezer. So I bought a big folding banquet table and one of those plastic ones, and I put that in the studio, 6 foot, and that's now my working space. But guess what? It was too low. And you need it to be counter height, at least, so you're not bending your back. And so now I went, okay, I need to lift that about 4 inches. And then I realized I had some 4x4s or 6x6s, 4x4s, I think they are, pieces of like railway ties, out in the garden. And so I just brought them in and let them dry, dusted them off, got the dirt off them, and then they are now holding up my table. And I waited until Ciora was there so she could help me lift the table and put them under. But, suddenly now I've got a table that works for me and I'm not hurting my back when I'm working. And so that's a thing to think about, all right, which is, are you supporting your back in your workspace? And that's a really important thing because, especially at my age, the more I sort of sit badly or the more I stand badly, that the more damage I'm going to do to my back. And so that's really important. So there we have it. That is what it is all about. And it's like chaos is part of our lives, whether we like it or not. But we can bring order to chaos, even partial order, just by putting it all into boxes. And that made me think about our brains, all right? Which is sometimes when we're overwhelmed, it's a really good idea to put everything into little boxes. So we know, okay, this is the box. One of the things that some of us struggle with, and I know I'm not the only one, is that we make lists of our lists. We're really good at making lists about what needs to be done, but the lists are so long, we make lists of lists. And what I have been working really hard on doing is going, I can have a list as long as I like, but I'm only allowed to focus on one today. All right. So I'm trying to work on a system where only one shows. Now, it's probably the one I want to procrastinate about, But if I want to make sense of all the chaos below it, I need to deal with this one. All right. And I found that's a better way for me to work on stuff because I'm not looking at the magnitude of the size of the list. I'm just looking, if I look at, I have categories: my house, my admin stuff, my web page, the soaps, I have different categories. And if I only did one thing today in each of those categories, what do I want to get done? Now I end up doing more just by nature of who I am, but I do find that it's helped me get some sort of peace about getting things done. It really helped. Now, one thing I did um, was I've actually put together some stuff for Dougie. Dougie gets a lot of visitors. So what I wanted to do was to give him a little care package, like this. And then what I wanted to do was to make a little card that went with it, so that when you went to his guest bathroom, there would be like this little welcome card. Oh, you can't see that there. You see that? Yeah. Okay, so there'll be a little welcome card, and the welcome card says, these soaps are for you to use and or take home. Okay. And then inside is a picture of the soaps and what's in them. So in terms of fragrance or whatever, and the type of soap. And then it says, you deserve to be spoiled. Right? And then on the back, if you obviously want to buy more, this is where you get them. So, but here's the interesting thing. You cannot believe how long it took me to get that working right. Because you've got some things, when you design it, you've got to think that needs to be upside down. That needs to be the right way up. And you know that I did it 4 times before I got it right. But I got it right, which means the next time I do it, it's much easier. And I will do it again. And I was thinking, for anybody who knows people that have a lot of people come visit, especially at the holiday time, what a nice idea. So I like that for an idea, and let me test it out on Doug, so that I can do it for other people. So I was really happy about that, but boy, was it frustrating at the time. But like all things, it takes as long as it takes. And, it's chaotic. And then eventually it comes into some sort of order. It's working. And then I was showing it to Siora, and she found out I'd left a word out. And I said, I'm so glad that you read that. Thank you. Now, does that mean that I was an idiot? No, it means that I was distracted when I was writing that sentence. I was distracted and I missed the one word. And I didn't re-copy check it. That was my bad. But, it's like not the end of the world, because now that I got everything organized, I could go in, fix it, and print it out again in a heartbeat. So I turned the chaos of trying to design it into something that was easy to fix. I loved it. So that is my topic for today. And what I wanted you to understand is that we all have chaos. You choose whether to turn that chaos into order or not. Right, that's your choice. But if you choose not to put it into order, maybe you want to do a halfway step, and that's contain it. One of the things I learned from watching some of those organization programs is the most important thing you can do is contain things. So even though it may be a box of crud, it's a tidy box of crud. And it's amazing what you can do with banker boxes, and it's amazing what you can do once it's contained. I'm a great believer in cubies and things, because you can get things of certain, all these sort of things together, and all the categories of things is much easier when you've got cubies. So I would just encourage you to have a look at your stuff, and I'm certain you've got it, and just go, okay, how do I want to do this better this week? And do not try to fix it all, because it's not possible. But do one thing, so that if I came and said, did you do anything this week? You'd be able to say, yes, I did. And if you said, yes, I did, and you got one group of things tidied up this week, you understand you would be able to know that you brought some order to the chaos. And you're saying, yeah, but I really didn't sort it properly and I didn't. No, it's not the point. The point is you turned messy chaos into organized chaos. And that is a major step to start with. This is DearMamaSal saying, we will always have chaos and that's how we grow. But if you've been living in chaos for a long time, you may want to rethink how you're living. And to me, that is the whole thing. That's why everything went into my bedroom. I know I do not want to live in chaos in my bedroom. Therefore, I will sort it. I will make the time to sort it because I have to get those boxes out of my bedroom. This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you for being here with me. I hope this made some level of sense to you. And I hope as well that it brings you some level of smile. It's like very few people have total organization in their life. And quite honestly, as it was said, if you're totally organized all the time, then you're living in habit. And that's not altogether good for you either. Jeannie's saying my kitchen table is where I find chaos. Then later, order. Yeah, we all have that. All right. You know what I found, Jeannie? I found I keep a lot of things in my kitchen that don't belong there. So what I've started to do, hang on. Is I keep this big cubie just in the hallway, right? And every night I go through all my countertops and I go, anything that doesn't belong in the kitchen goes in here. And then the next day I go from room to room and I put the things back away again. But I am amazed how many things get into the kitchen that don't belong there. And that has really helped me keep order. I don't have to put it away immediately. I just put it in there. And then the next day, I take that and go. And most of it will end up to do with soaps. But at least it keeps my kitchen. And I'm not joking. I've had my kitchen almost tidy for over a week now. And the other thing was I noticed my soaps were going as far as my dining room table as well. I'm sure you can understand that. And I went, no, I'm taking the stuff off the dining room table. That's why I needed the studio to do that. And I just did it a little bit each day. I took a little bit more off and I now have got all of it off. Now I've just got to make the table look pretty again. Work in progress. This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you for being with me. Look after yourselves and we'll see you on Sunday. Thanks, Jody, and thanks, Jeannie, for being here. And bye-bye for now.